So now that you know how to run the code, how to embed it in your HTML document and use it there, let's actually dive into JavaScript itself, into the fundamentals of the language and how it works. I'll start with the fundamental thing existing, variables. Variables are a very, very basic thing in each language, and without them probably no code would work. So what are variables? Variables basically are little data structures or storages which allow you to store values, to store data if you want to put it like this. You create a variable in JavaScript by using the var keyword and then give this a name following the var keyword like variable. And there are some reserved names, but most of the names are free and you will get errors if you try to use reserved names. And then you assign a value by typing equals and then the value you want to assign. For example, 5. Now what's the benefit of doing this? I can use this variable throughout my code. So for example, I can use console log and write variable here. And now if I hit Command Enter, you see 5 in the console, which of course happens because we're printing the value of the variable by using the variable here in this function. I'll come back to functions in a later point, of course, too. So variables are places to store data. This, of course, throws the question, which data can be stored? Here you see a number, 5. Notice that we just typed a number like this. Imagine I wanted to store some text. Let's say text. What do you think will happen? What will I see in the console if I click run? I get an error. The text is not defined. Because by using text or characters like this, JavaScript expects this to be a variable, like we defined variable here. This also is just some text we entered here. So JavaScript would expect a variable of name text to be set equal to variable. And of course, we don't have such a variable here. We didn't initialize a variable named text. So this won't work. If we want to print actual text, so a string of characters here in the console, we would have to put quotation marks around text. If I now clear the console and click run again, you see that we print text here instead, so the real text we wanted to print. And this, of course, is important to know and understand that if you don't have quotation marks and it's not a number, JavaScript expects a variable with this name or a function or something like that. And therefore, we would get an error if this variable doesn't exist. So we saw numbers and now we see text. Which other types do we have? Well, we also have booleans, which means true or false. And we can easily set this like this, true. Now wait a second. A minute ago I said that you have to put quotation marks around text if you want to use it, and that now JavaScript would look for a variable named true. Theoretically yes, practically no. I also said that there are some keywords which are reserved and can't be used for variable names. True is such a keyword, and therefore true here will not resolve to a variable, or JavaScript won't look for a variable named true. Instead, true is a value, like 5 is a value. And if I clear this, what do you think we'll see in the console? We see true. Notice that we don't have any quotation marks here or something like this, because true is a value, like 5 is a number, or the text you saw a few seconds ago was a string. This is a boolean, and this is its own data type we can use. And of course, we not only have true, we also have false. Now, with all that being explained, would it work if I rename variable to my number 1 var like this, 1 var? No, this won't work. I must not have a number at the beginning of a variable name. That will not work. I may have a number in my variable name, but not at the beginning of it. And var is also a reserved keyword, though var1 would work, because now I have a new variable name, it's not just var, and the number is not at the beginning. Therefore, if I clear this, and hit run. This would work, since now we're again having a valid variable name. But back to the basic types we have. We saw a number, text, and Boolean. What about the following if I have 6.5 here? What do you think I'll see in the console? Well, I see 6.5. But the question is, what is this? Is this also a number, or is it a float like in some other languages? Was the first number 5 an integer? Because if you're coming from another programming language, you might know the concept of having integers and floating point numbers, and there is a difference between both. Well, let's see what this is. We can not only print the value, we can also print type of. And if I print this, well, we see this is of type number. Now, since we're at it, let's see what 5 is. It's also a number. So a floating point number like 6.5 and 5 both have the same type. JavaScript doesn't know integers and floating point numbers. It's all just a number. And by the way, since I didn't check this earlier, what was the type of text? String. So this is of type string. And just to finish the line here, if I check true, you see this is Boolean as I explained.